Welcome to our discussion on performance choking. I'm Dan Gonzalez, Peak Performance Coach and the author of the international bestseller in sports psychology and personal success, The Art of Mental Training, a guide to performance excellence, available on Amazon. Straight out of the book, let's take a look at what's going on here. Performance choking is not exactly like having a fear of something dangerous. That's not what causes performance choking. It's a little like having a fear of failure, except the performance choking goes beyond that because it's the actual physical response that's triggered by the psychological threat to the ego. That's the key. The ego is afraid of looking bad. It starts to overanalyze the situation and it affects our performance flow. So let's take a look at these key points. A fear of failure. It's somewhat like a fear of failure, but the ego becomes afraid of looking bad. A fear of losing an advantage. We start thinking too much. Our flow is affected. We start trying too hard. We go into a perfection mode. Leave the ego out of your event. That's what's going to help you avoid performance choking. Okay? Now, what are some of the tools that can help us control it if it shows up? Focused breathing, relaxation skills, and visualization skills. Let's start with those. Now, focused breathing, we cover that because what happens with focused breathing when you're good at it, when you've developed it, is it brings you back to the moment. If it brings you back to the moment, that's where you find your flow. All right, so focused breathing brings us back to the moment. It gets oxygen in our system. It relaxes the muscles. It relieves tension. We begin to relax mentally and physically by using focused breathing, but we get back to the moment, and that's where we want to be. Our relaxation skills we've developed along the way, so we're good at kicking them in when we need them, if we've developed them. Now, we also have the visualization skills, which are critical. Now, it's not about all of a sudden I need a 30-minute visualization practice session. It's about having the skill to visualize, because you've practiced how you want things to go. And that visualization skill might only be used for 10-15 seconds in order to get your focus where it needs to be and to let your training take over. So developing visualization skills all along the way, that's a very important skill to have. Staying task focused is critical. We don't want to be thinking about the past. We don't want to be thinking about the future. We have only now. We need to stay in the now. So staying task focused on what we need to do now is where we need to be. Any negativity shows up, we need to use our cancel technique and immediately interrupt that pattern and replace it with things like positive self-talk, and with positive images, again, a visualization skill to immediately build up our self-belief and our self-confidence in the now. We have to stay in the present. Those are the things that we're working for. Now, we also have to have developed the skill of maintaining our performance focus. That's going to help us avoid performance choking. Being really good at not only understanding it, but having a laser sharp performance focus and knowing how to keep it. Now, one of the things that can help us there are what I call performance trigger. Those are little key words that will help you do the task at hand and stay task focused. Do it well. Things like smooth trigger, smooth front sight. That's for the shooter. Front sight, smooth trigger pull. Bend your knees, breathe. Whatever the performance triggers may be for what you're performing in, make sure you have those ready, and those will help you stay task focused if you need that. Then we have to redirect the ego. Okay, so what I'm saying here is that we understand that the real cause of performance choking is the ego. All right, it's afraid of looking bad and all these things. So we redirect it. We take control away from the ego, and the best way to do that is a simple way. Just immediately focus on something for 10-15 seconds. Take the focus away from the ego and the feelings that it's helping generate that are affecting your performance, and pick a spot and just look at that and focus on it for 10 to 15 seconds while you do your focused breathing. What are we doing? We're taking the focus away from the ego and we're bringing it back to the task that we need to be focused on, to let our training and our neural conditioning, our muscle memory take over to do what we already know how to do well. So you're using all of these skills and techniques to take the power of a choking episode away. All right, and the other thing that we can use here, we've touched upon, it's a little bit like performance triggers. It's power talk. I'm ready, I'm calm, I'm focused, I got this, I'm good, I'm fast, I'm strong, I can handle this, I can manage this, I'm smooth, I'm accurate, I'm in charge, I'm in control. Whatever they may be, make sure you have this type of power talk available to you. When you need it, start using it. These are tools to control the performance choking episode. Now, some more important things to understand. Trust your training. You have to have done the work. You have to have your skill. And knowing that you do, because you've done the work, you have to now trust your training. Don't overanalyze. Focus on your process, not the outcome. When you start focusing on the outcome, when you're starting getting nervous about how things may go and not necessarily the way you want, the ego is taking over. Remember, we have a fear of losing an advantage. We're in the future. We're trying too hard. We're losing our flow because we don't want to lose our advantage. Our fear of failure is coming up and we don't want that. We're not in the now. All right, so focus on process, how to mechanically do what you do. Let your training take over. Don't overthink it. Don't be going out here into the outcome. A great way to help the situation if it shows up is that you've been practicing under stress. So create a stressful environment and practice under stress. Put pressure into your practice sessions so when you start to feel the pressure, you've already been practicing under pressure. That's going to help you with performance choking if it shows up. Don't rush. Be smooth. Never rush our technique. Now, there's a whole body of knowledge, and I want you here to understand that you were bringing things in, skills that you've developed because you've become very familiar with the body of knowledge. Use the ideal performance state. Stay in the zone. What I mean by that is you have to understand what the ideal performance state is, how you can achieve it, the tools and techniques that help you achieve it, and your goal is to create that ideal performance state despite the pressure, despite the fact that you feel a choking episode coming up. You take your mental game to here. You start using the ideal performance state, you bring it up. No focus on the future, no focus on the past. All we have is now. And then a powerful tool, and we discuss this in other modules, success conditioning. This empowers and fortifies your self-belief system, your self-confidence, and it leads to improved performance. These are specific programs that you use for 4 to 6 weeks. When this is part of your foundation as an athlete, as a performer, the chances of performance choking episodes coming up go way down because your self-belief and your self-confidence is so strong. So, what we have here then is what causes it, tools that help us control it, and ideas that will help us also be successful despite performance choking trying to come up and interfere with our game, with our performance. TheArtOfMentalTraining.com. Remember, we've got the Performance Edge Mental Training course available for instant download. It's an audio format. Learn to use the body of knowledge to avoid things like performance choking and other challenges that come up in the course of being a performer. It's about everything coming together. Learn the body of knowledge. Thanks.